Hi, I'm Johnny, and I'm on a health journey. Now, before you come to me in the comments with, oh great, another person giving a manifesto on why they're starting a weight loss channel, you're absolutely right. Sort of. A manifesto implies I have a plan, which I don't. I've done this New Year, New Me song and dance so many times, I've literally lost count. I'd buy the workout gear, stock the fridge, and take those awkward before pics. I totally still did those things, but I digress. Let's do a recap. Here are the stats. You got it? Good. So on January 1st, I started strong by waking up early and dusting off my Planet Fitness gym membership, the one I haven't used in 11 months. Your boy was weak and it showed. I didn't want to give myself a heart attack, so I went really light on the weights and only did the machines I could actually fit on, or the ones that my joints would allow me to use. I did this the following Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday, resting in the days in between. For nutrition, I didn't want to go full on health mode from past experiences, but I wanted to keep track of it with a food journal. And that lasted about 5 days. Guess by day 5, my brain convinced me I was an expert, so I stopped. Mistake number 1. The goal was to not think about what I ate too much and increase my protein intake. I was never really big on eating breakfast, so I tried to form the habit of eating a bowl of oatmeal once a day. By week 2, I graduated from regular fatigue to deep tissue soreness. My body was in a state of pure shock, which I pretty much expected. Entering my car required a tactical maneuver and 3 distinct grunts. Oh, you gotta love muscle soreness. Strangely though, I started to feel optimistic. I started moving the pin down the weight stack and even added new machines to the rotation. On the nutrition front, food-wise, things got pretty interesting. I began leaning towards a more caloric deficit when it came to my home cooked meals and even went out a couple of times without worrying about it too much. I didn't want to feel deprived or deprive myself from foods that I wanted. So yes, the donuts did stay in rotation. But looking back, that flexibility was a bit of a trap. I grew a little bit too proud of how easy that process felt. That overconfidence was a quiet forewarning of how the following weeks would go. But the absolute MVP of week 2, sleep. I haven't slept this well in months. Usually I'm tossing and turning, scrolling through my phone, wondering why my brain won't shut off. Now, my body's so legitimately tired from moving around so much, I'm falling asleep in minutes. Then came week 3. You know that feeling when you finally think you mastered a video game so much that you skip the tutorial and jump straight to the expert boss? Yeah, that was me on the gym on Thursday. The overconfidence I mentioned, I walked into the gym feeling like I owned the place. The soreness was gone, the golden hour was mine, and I decided it was time for me to move the pin on the seated row machine down 3 extra slots. I sat down, grabbed the handles, gave it a massive yank with zero form and 100% ego, and then I heard it. It wasn't a loud pop, it was a quiet, polite click in my lower back that basically said, "Oh, you think you're an athlete now? That's cute. Here's a couple of weeks of agony and a side of painkillers." I just kind of slid off the machine like a rag doll and limped to the parking lot. By the time I got home, my back had seized up so tight I couldn't even bend over to take off my shoes, and ended up spending the next 4 hours on a heating pad. And with that, there was one thing about the fitness journey no one tells you. When the body stops moving, the mind starts wandering. Since I couldn't stand at the stove long enough to scramble an egg, let alone meal prep, I turned back to my oldest, most reliable friends, the delivery apps. It started with just a salad because I needed to build my strength up to heal. By Monday, DoorDash became my primary source of nutrition, and my kitchen became a museum of unused oatmeal. The worst part wasn't the back pain, though. It was the what's the point mindset that started rolling in. When you're stuck on the couch staring at a deliciously greasy bag of takeout, it's really easy to convince yourself that the first 2 weeks were just a fluke. My mindset didn't just waver, it did a full on Olympic nosedive. I went from finally doing it to maybe I'm just meant to be a fat guy who likes donuts. The back pain was finally easing up, which was great and all, but terrible for my excuses. By the last week of the month, I had practically given up. I defaulted to my old habits so hard that it was like the first 2 weeks never happened. I spent the last 7 days in a total fog of who cares? And I'll start again Monday. And to be honest, I don't think I have another year in me. So here we are. Usually, this is where I quietly delete the before photos, finish off that pizza, and wait till next January 1st to try again. But I realized that if I didn't turn on the camera this week and show you guys the wreck that I was, there wouldn't be a February launch. Despite the mess, I'm not giving up. This time I'm doing the one thing I've always been too afraid to try, sharing it all online. I'm hoping that by putting myself out there, I'll leverage the pressure of consistent scrutiny and the unbiased opinions of complete strangers to keep me going. With January being a bust, it's back to the drawing board to figure out a plan and reevaluate my goals. Since I managed to avoid my doctor during the back fiasco, I set an appointment on February 2nd to assess the damage and providing the insight towards my chaotic adventure. So, we'll see how that goes. That being said, that's all from me. If you made it this far, make sure to click the like. Okay. So obviously, I didn't post on February the 1st. The whole animating ahead over my own thing turned out to be a huge headache, and I'm still working out the kinks. I spent the last few weeks stressing about being a perfectionist to the point I continue to neglect my body and what I ate. But a lot has happened. I finally got in to see my PCP to go over a couple issues I've been experiencing, which are knee and joint pain, some nerve pain in my back and head, and a possible popliteal tendon injury last February. Popliteal? I say possible because I never really got seen for that. Just Dr. Google. When I got to the back, the nurse did check my vitals, and to be honest, I wasn't that surprised. I knew I was going to gain some weight. Um, yeah, I'm fine with it. After referring me to an orthopedist and some physical therapy, I had my blood drawn for lab work. My doctor explained that while my blood pressure and LDL was slightly elevated, my A1C level was at 6.0, which officially made me a pre-diabetic. I was recommended to either start taking a medication called metformin for insulin resistance or focus on diet and exercise over the next 3 months and then check the blood work again. I chose the non-medicine route. I explained that I really like to turn it around and I really didn't want to take any more medication. For my orthopedic visit on the 20th, I had a few x-rays taken of both my knees. My orthopedist said that I have significant tricompartmental degenerative changes. So basically, I got some serious wear and tear and a loss of joint space, especially on my right knee. To deal with the pain in that knee, I got a corticosteroid injection. To avoid having knee surgery, it was suggested I explore to safely strengthen the muscles that surround and aid my knees. That's where my physical therapist came in. So after some general observation of me moving and walking, my physical therapist wanted to start focusing on two specific movements to build a what they call muscular cage around my joints. I was first instructed to do resisted sit to stand and side lying hip abductions. The goal is stability, and by strengthening the glutes and the muscles directly supporting my knee, they were teaching my body to stop letting my knees collapse inward. Apparently, I have a problem with that. On top of the targeted lifts, I'm logging 4 to 8 5-minute walks a day and standing for at least 5 minutes every hour I'm at my desk, which is pretty doable. And with that, we're at the end of the video. No, for real this time. I have a follow-up with my PCP on March 2nd, so the video is starting just like how it began. Alright, let's get to work.